What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Sport Exposure Podcast. As you guys know, we are here to expose sport stories, sport journeys to inspire the next generation of student athletes and really create a safe space for student athletes past, present, and future. Today, we have Mel Johnson here.
What's going on?
What's up? We are here to tell his story and tell his journey playing basketball. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm Mel Johnson, originally from Providence, Rhode Island. Moved around a lot. Grew up in Portsmouth, so that's where the journey started.
Here at Sport Exposure, our motto is celebrating triumphs and learning from defeats. When you hear that motto and pertains to your sport journey, what do you think of?
Embracing the journey, which is my slogan. You know, the whole sports and academics and life collided to be one, and basketball is basically what saved my life.
So where did basketball start for you?
Providence, Rhode Island, 4 years old. I was a big kid, so I was already jumping off the back porch on the Fisher-Price goals, things like that. They had a ball in my crib. My pops played basketball, so, you know, it's in the blood.
Okay. So tell me where basketball took you from 4 years old.
Basketball took me everywhere. Basketball really put me in a space where I always had something to strive for. Kind of being an inner-city black kid, it kind of kept me out there on the straight and narrow. Mm-hmm. So basketball is everything.
For sure. And you went on to play. Tell me about your childhood with basketball.
My childhood with basketball, it was actually what I needed to get me through moving around a lot. You know what I'm saying? I went to 11 schools my first 8 years in 5 states. So the one common denominator I had was a basketball. So when you
I'm sure that was challenging.
Yeah. It was a gift and a curse. But now, 39 years old, it's a gift.
11 schools?
11 schools.
In 5 states? Were you military?
Nah, Pops was a drug addict, so we moved around a lot. Circumstances that happened, we had to pick up and move. And Mom a soldier, so we just keep it moving.
So what did that do for you mentally?
Mentally, it actually saved my life. It sounds crazy when I tell people that my Pops was an NBA player, but his basketball and his career didn't really help me because it was before I was born, but his drug ups and downs is what built the character in me. So being at a young age, having to transition every 6 months, 8 months, a year, it just built character, understanding if you withstand anything. So that's where the whole embrace the journey actually comes from.
So while you're going through this, what's going through your mind?
I got a strong mother. So my mother was always, I want more for you. You're going to go to college. You're going to do this. And then at that time, I really wasn't academically stable. So she was telling me I was going to college, and I was like, I changed my grades every progress report. I don't know about college. And then as kept moving, getting older, understanding basketball, watching college basketball, and I was like, yeah, I think I want to play college basketball or college football.
At what age was this?
About 7. I was about 7 years old during the Final Fours. You know that era, college basketball where people stayed 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I wanted to experience it. And then different world.
So how did you attack sports after 7? Once you made that up in your mind, how did you attack sports from then on?
Just knowing that I want to play Division I basketball. I want to be on ESPN one day and cut down the nets. You know the dream. And maybe play professional NBA overseas. That was the goal.
Is this still while moving around?
Yep.
So when did you start living a steady lifestyle or a steady structure? Never.
Until I was adult, until I was actually on my own.
So.
Yeah.
So where was the last state you lived in? Obviously Virginia before.
Before I came to Virginia, I was living in Houston, Texas. I moved from Detroit to Houston. My pops was actually in a drug program. John Lucas, I don't know if you know John Lucas, the basketball player, but he was a drug addict. So he had a drug program for NBA players. So we moved to Houston, and that's how we got there. And
your dad was in the league?
Yeah, he was the number 2 pick in the 1974 draft, college All-American. First NBA player to sign a $2 million contract.
That's in
30 for 30. You might want to check it out. Free Spirit.
I will.
Yeah, definitely.
And how many years did he play?
He played 7. He won Rookie of the Year over Moses Malone, so that lets you know where he stands.
That's huge.
That lets you know where he stands.
That's huge. And you knowing that growing up, what did that do for your mind, sir? You didn't know that side of him.
So the ironic thing is, I never really knew his basketball career. As a child, we didn't have the internet, so I just knew he was tall, and whenever he went in rooms, like, people just showed him love. You know what I'm saying? So I never knew. And then I actually found out, this is a funny story, I found out that my pops was a basketball legend while he was incarcerated. I was struggling to read academically. My mom ordered Hooked on Phonics, things like that. It couldn't keep my focus. The only thing I cared about was sports. So my mom, being a teacher assistant at alternative school, realized, like, I'm gonna get him sports books.
Something you interested in?
So every Friday we go to the library, I get 3-4 books. I got a week to read them. So I just got all sports. But she said, I don't care what books you get. You read them from beginning to end. And she knew sports. So she would be able to ask me questions. And I started answering, so it helped with my reading comprehension. And I was in the NCAA encyclopedia. And I got to the 70s. And I looked and it said Marvin Barnes. And I was like, hey, Mom. She was like, you knew this? That's why I never knew that's why we was going to games when we was in Boston and Rhode Island. I didn't know. I just thought we going to games. And then that would show me life has a lot of ups and downs. And at that time, you didn't have the internet, so I didn't really know. And then after that, things just started happening. More people started telling me about them because we was in Houston at the drug programs with ex-NBA players, people telling this story, things like that. And I was like, wow, it's real.
Do you think that added to your drive?
Nah, we never did basketball. Basketball was me and my mom's thing.
Never with your dad?
Never. He came to 2 games. That was in one day, AAU. You know how that go. That was it. Me and his relationship is what built who I am today mentally. Going to AA meetings, you know what I'm saying? Going to visit him in jail, understanding that I don't never want to be behind no bars. So I told my mom we went to go see him in Houston. We drove like 9 hours, still was in the state. And I was like, I don't want to go back. She was like, well, I was like, I don't like seeing him like that. You know what I'm saying? So that was what I wasn't going to do. He was a quote unquote gangster. He was in the NBA, pimping women, selling drugs, dropping 30. You know what I'm saying? It was an article in the Slam magazine that said he was the first bad boy of sports, before Allen Iverson skipped practice, before Deion was prime, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Before Dennis Rodman was coloring his hair, there was Marvin Bad News Barnes.
I'm already blown away by your story.
Yeah, it's deep.
Yeah, so how did you get to college? This is a lot happening growing up for a child, for anybody. I can't imagine, and taking the mental approach that you did was obviously different for your age. Mm-hmm. And I guess we credit to your mom for keeping that pushing you, instilling you,
Yeah.
How did you overcome that learning disability?
So with me moving around so much, I ended up, my pops got clean. And he ended up getting like $125K from the NBA for some retirements, player association thing. And it changed our life for like 27 months. So we went from the drug addict, mom working 2 jobs, to we get this money, he clean. We moved to a condo outside of Sugar Land, Houston, around the corner from Akeem Olajuwon. So now we living a different life. He put me in a private school. And when I tested into the private school, I was 7th grade. I tested in all 4th, 5th grade levels. And then after that year, I was 8th grade level academically. So it's a journey.
Once again, as an 8th grader testing as a 4th grader,
don't do me like that. I was 7th grade as a 4th grader.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 7th grade as a 4th grade, but still.
No, you're right.
Mentally.
My mom, man, she always told me, she was on me 24/7. Even though she was rarely home, she was on me 24/7. Like sports, when I was failing, she would take me off the team, but make me go to the games, just making sure that I just stayed level-headed regardless.
And coming through high school?
High school is when things change academically. To go back a year before high school, I failed 8th grade. So even after I became academically, on level, I moved to Virginia because my pops had relapsed after that. So we ended up losing everything through that. When I came to Virginia, I moved to my grandparents' house, like 8, 9 cousins. My grandparents are in their 60s. I'm like 14. We got another cousin, 14. We outside.
I was gonna say,
You know what I'm saying?
outside.
We off the porch. We don't, you know what I'm saying? They're not checking homework. They're not doing nothing. I failed every class except for gym. And then that changed my life though, because I flunked off the team. My mom moved back. After I flunked off the team, she made me go to every game. And it was just embarrassing because the parents were saying how good I was. The team never won a game again. We was 7-0. So it was like, that was the first time it's like, you're a leader. Like Churchland needs you, your school needs you. It's bigger than just you.
So coming back from that next season, what did life look like for you academically?
I never failed a class again in life. Never failed a class. And I stayed around the B, C range, but when you was used to getting Fs, Ds, Cs.
But that was good.
I was good. So I thought I was mentally ready.
Until?
After 4 years of varsity, you know, a solid career, a couple of scholarship offers, SATs showed I'm still not up to par.
A lot of athletes struggle with those.
Bombed it 3 times.
And that put a stunt on your recruiting process.
Yep. So sure. I had offers to Norfolk State, Hampton, Virginia Union. You don't get the SATs, you don't. So I took the JUCO route up in DMV area. Went there and it changed my life for real.
I was about to say, tell me about JUCO. We don't talk too much about JUCO.
Yeah, JUCO. So I'm a big advocate for JUCO because for one, you have the athletic side. Some people, like me personally, I didn't have the body at the time. So coaches see me, they love the game, but I was like a football player. I was like 255. You know what I'm saying? I was like 6'4", 255, small forward, shooting guard. But in high school, I played power forward, so they liked me, but it wasn't enough. I went to JUCO, and I was able to get my body right. The game was there, but the body wasn't. So the extra 2 years, I was able to develop the body. But then academically, that's where I learned how to learn was when I was in college.
Learning how to learn. What was that process like?
So as an educator now and a person that mentors kids, everybody has a learning curve.
Right.
So until you learn your learning curve, learning is not fun. So that's why we struggle in the inner city, because it's not fun. It doesn't keep us engaged. You like, you know, you weird, like, you really like this stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're really engaged. But that's because it's something burning in their spirit and it makes them want to keep learning. They thrive on becoming smarter. So going into JUCO, smaller class settings, you have professors now that's their passion. They want to be educators. They want to take their time with you. So I ended up placing into remedial classes. So my first year of college was really like 13th grade because I took English 001, then 002, math 001, 002, A's and B's. And I finally understood, like, I didn't even, no lie, I didn't really know what an adjective was. I just knew a noun. But I was able to skate through because I just paid attention a little bit. Going to JUCO, I learned everything.
So it's like you said, JUCO changed your life.
Yep.
So what happened after JUCO?
After JUCO, I ended up receiving 33 Division I offers. I chose Youngstown State.
Why Youngstown after 33?
You know, at that time, this is another thing with athletes. So I worried about the wrong things at that time. It was more about the schedule, who we played, because the goal was to go overseas. So Youngstown had a great schedule: UCLA, Michigan, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Horizon League. So we played Butler twice. I said they wanted me to start. The 2 guard was a senior the year before. He ended up going overseas. We was the same body size. I'm like,
look pretty promising.
Yeah, this is where I need to be. You know, 2 years of this, then 10 years overseas.
Right.
And that's why I chose it.
Did you go overseas?
I signed the contract. So I ended up actually leaving Youngstown State and going to Elizabeth City State for my senior year. So because I redshirted at my JUCO,
you had extra year.
I couldn't transfer to a D1. So I had to go D2. And I ended up choosing Elizabeth City State, HBCU. They had CIAA Player of the Year. They had just won 20 games. So I was like, I'm going to go there because I could still be successful and still get overseas. And that was another blessing. Experiencing the HBCU life.
Yes.
Heavy on the HBCU.
Yes. Y'all hear that, kids?
Heavy.
Yes. Let me back up a little bit about your time at Youngstown. It's a lot of, well, it seems like you've had to adjust and adapt your entire life. What was the difference, and how did those journeys and those situations that molded you who you are help you when you got to Youngstown or to Elizabeth City, or just as a student athlete?
Being a kid that moved around a lot, I have no problem adapting to my circumstances, my environment, people. I'm a people person, so I talk to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it was a gift, and again, in the curse. So the moving around, it taught me how to carry myself, how to understand, read people. These are not the people to hang with. These are the people to hang with. Don't go down this street. Don't go that way. So it molded me for everything that I got going on today.
So life comes with a lot of challenges, specifically coming from communities that we come from. Some similar like your story. Being a student athlete comes with challenges as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what type of challenges did you have to overcome?
Mainly, it was always the academic part. It was truly understanding that I'm a student athlete. And I heard it when I was younger, but you don't understand it until you go through the fire. You know what I mean? So the thing is, what I try to mentor to the young hoopers today, pay attention. Use your ability to get out your circumstances so then you can live your life through using it to get a degree. So once you get that degree, that lasts forever. Basketball don't.
The ball gonna always start bouncing.
It's gonna stop.
Eventually.
Deflate.
Quicker than we think.
Yeah.
So after Elizabeth City, what did life look like for you?
So this is where God kind of steered me into my calling. So to me, life was always about basketball. I never really wanted to go to the NBA. It was more so I want to play basketball for 10 years, retire, save my money, become an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I started having injuries starting at Youngstown State, then Elizabeth City State. Then I got healthy. I had to try out. I signed with an agent. We found me a country in Iceland. I signed the contract. 3 months before my physical, I'm training. I tear my rotator cuff. You know what I'm saying? And I failed my physical. So then I never get to actually step on that court and get on that plane and go over there. So then they was like, we still want you for next year. Boom, boom, boom. So I didn't work. I didn't do nothing. I worked out all year. Then I caught plantar fasciitis in my foot like 45 days before the physical. So I failed the physical again.
That's no fun.
So then I was like, man, is God telling me something? So I was like, but I got to get a job. So I ended up getting a job as an alternative school teacher, teaching history and government. Same kid that was academically struggling. Wow. Now I'm teaching kids the same way.
I'm sure that's full circle.
Full circle.
How was that process adjusting? Or did you have to adjust?
So what happened after that, after I taught for a year, right? I was still working out. My agent hit me up and he said, man, I got a country that's willing to take you with the injuries. You know how I go in the middle of the season, they need an American. They remember you from Youngstown and Elizabeth City. They want to bring you on. And I was like, how much they paying? And they was like, well, it'll be like 35. And then if we do, you finish the season out, next year you could talk a real contract. So at the time I was making like 70. So, cause I'm teaching, I'm making like 50 teaching, I'm doing mental health on the side. So I'm like, nah, this is my calling.
It's a lesson in itself because a lot of athletes would have went over there.
Yeah. And honestly,
just to say they went.
What I tell the kids now, if you come from the family where you're financially stable, chase that dream. But if you come from where we come from, where, you know what I'm saying, there's no finances, like after that 1 year working, I was already the most, I had the most money in my family, you know what I'm saying, in Virginia. And it wasn't worth it. I couldn't chase it. I had to get to this dream and this goals. And then I also understood, like, I'm good. Like, I achieved my dreams. I always wanted to play D1. I did it. I wanted to play professional basketball. I signed a contract. I signed the agent. So that lets me know I was a pro. But then the injuries let me know. God said, hold on. Basketball was to get you out your circumstances, but I got something bigger for you.
He always got a bigger plan for us.
Always.
And tapping into that teaching side, like how has that helped with your own professional growth and mental growth? Because fresh out of basketball, a lot of us struggle with trying to figure out who we are. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like God showed you your purpose early on, but how did you really adapt to that?
So the teaching part, it was cool. And then when I realized that kids really gravitate to me, you know what I mean? Because my whole story, my whole demeanor, like, I look like their cousin, their brother, and they're like, you went to school?
That's what they need.
And I'm like, yeah, man, everybody ain't Carlton Banks. You know what I'm saying? You could be from around the way. You could have the tattoos and everything, you know what I'm saying, to struggle and still be educated. Like, that's the most dangerous black man out there.
It is.
The around the way educated black man, because he know both sides of the spectrum.
Right.
So that's what they're scared of.
And you said you also do mental health.
Yeah, 14 years.
Why mental health?
I've been around mental health my whole life, from my pops, from my uncles, my aunts. You know what I'm saying? I had 2 cousins that struggled with bipolar schizophrenia when I was like 14. So even then, and my mom, she did MR. You know, right now it's intellectual disabilities, but when we grew up, it was mentally retarded. So I've always been around like a human service type of field. So it's like this was the destiny.
I'm really in awe at your story.
Appreciate it.
Because you have a lot to offer to our community just by being well-rounded. And a lot of people, like you said, a lot of kids gravitate to us because we look like them. And we have a story, we went to school, we played ball. And to us, sometimes we don't really take advantage of it. And which is why I do what I do now. But it's kind of hard to see that when you're going through what you're going through and speak to some of the student athletes that may be struggling, trying to figure out who they are. But a lot of us have a platform just off the strength of the jersey. And a lot of us don't know how to utilize that.
So that's what the things that I'm trying to do now is I'm all about financial freedom. So remember I told you the goal was to play basketball 10 years overseas, then be an entrepreneur. Life still takes its course. And
Always.
Sometimes, so what ended up happening is if I would have went overseas and played 10 years, what would I would have been an entrepreneur in? So what happened was the last 10, 12 years I spent working in the human service field. I was a special education teacher. I was a vocational counselor. I did mental health. I worked at the psych ward on the south side of Chicago. Wounded Warriors. I've been a mental health manager, program manager. I've been an independent living youth director. And I basically tapped into every form of human service. And that's what I have created my own financial freedom. So
That's
if I
really
would have went
dope.
over basketball, if I would have went overseas, I wouldn't have had this thing that could really set up some real generational wealth in the next 30, 40 years.
And we need that.
You know?
And I think I already know the answer, but I want to ask you, what drives you to give back to our community, to these kids, to these children that need us so badly? Because this is a new generation.
Yeah, but
They can't handle the things that we went through.
it's a new generation, but it's the same circumstances. And the key that I have to this is I know what it's like. I could relate to every black kid. I had a single parent home, moving around a lot, struggling in school, father in jail, father off and on drugs, living at your grandparents' house with your first cousins, 2, 3 in the bed, you know what I'm saying, oodles and noodles every day, you know what I'm saying, growing up in the church, the typical black family, you know what I'm saying, friends in and out of detention, and me being an athlete. It's just like the movies. There's always one athlete. There's always one dude that's in and out of jail. There's always one dude that gets the girls. There's always one that's the butt of all jokes. This is normal black inner city friendships.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we relate, because my story is not like that. It's if people wouldn't realize or people wouldn't believe me when I start telling a lot of my story because of my circumstances, because of things I've gone through. But it took me a lot to start walking in my truth. And it wasn't until I think God showed me my purpose was to tell my truth to inspire the next. And what advice would you have to student athletes or just an athlete that has a background like yours to really walk in their truth? Because some people everybody's not as confident to talk about their past.
Yeah, I mean, that's the therapy that we need. And what people don't realize is sometimes your circumstances can save somebody else's life. So with me, I feel like every obstacle I went through was meant for me, because like what God say, he gives his strongest battle to, he gives the hardest battle to his strongest soldiers. I'm a soldier. Like my mom built me, even my pops when we was growing up, he always told me, he's like, you're stronger than me. And I never understood it. But when he died, I understood because of the things that he put me through and how I was always smiling. I never wore what I was going on my sleeve. Like even my peers, a lot of my people didn't even know my pops played in the NBA. I never told people because what I'm gonna tell him? Because right now he probably at home getting high. So I'm just,
Not gonna talk
and then
about
there
it.
wasn't no internet. So my close friends knew, but people never knew. I never really told my story and my journey. So even me living in Churchland, moving there, the Portsmouth thing, Churchland downtown, it's like, oh, y'all Churchland kids. And I'm like, I just came from Southside Houston, out 5th Ward. I used to live in Detroit. Y'all talking about Portsmouth. And I understood the mindset. Like, you're worried about a certain area when at the end of the day, a black area is a black area. Everywhere. Everybody hood is tough, this and that. But if you have that mindset, you're going to stay exactly where you at. So it was like I never wore my heart on my sleeve. I just stayed driven.
And you're still driven?
Till I die.
So what's the ultimate goal now? It sounds like you've done a lot.
Yeah. I'm only 39.
Yeah. And you still got a lot of time.
Yeah, we just starting. Life started at 40, especially for Black men. Like I said, when you think about the journey, the data, I'm a data person. You know, okay. I'm into reading, I'm into politics, I'm into understanding the real world. You know what I'm saying? And being that you don't see that in the inner city. But again, this goes back to my mom. She was into politics. She read the newspaper every day. So these are things that I seen that I just, as an adult, I gravitated to myself. So the data says that a Black man doesn't reach his financial peak to his mid to 45 to 50. Because our circumstances that we come from, we have to achieve late. In 20s, you got to learn.
Because we got to overcome
all that stuff. We don't have fathers. We don't have nobody to give us the blueprint, how to build credit. This is what you do. To go to school and get a degree that's worth something. Not just to go to school and play basketball and then now you have a degree, but it ain't worth nothing.
Speak on that, please.
Yeah,
because a lot of kids I tell my kids all the time, make sure that you're using the ball the same way the ball is using you. And it really starts with degree. You're getting a free degree. Mm-hmm. Why not get it in something that's going to be beneficial?
Yeah.
And a lot of some schools, some coaches limit us to what we can major in.
Yeah, that's a fact. You got to keep that team GPA up.
However, it is very important that you get a degree in something that you can use later. I can't tell you how many times, I'm sure you can relate, we see sociology, anthropology, mm-hmm. African American studies, PE. What are you going to do with that?
General studies. I had a teammate getting general studies as a bachelor's. I said, I thought that was only associates.
What are you going to do with that?
Nothing. But, so you remember Charlamagne's book, Black Privilege?
I do remember. I haven't read it.
I really wasn't a fan of it because there really is no Black privilege. At the time I was thinking that, then I realized there's one area of Black privilege for us Black boys coming from the inner city, academic-wise. And it's to get a degree in the human service. You always have a job. That's why I've done so. Every job I ever went for, I got. I'm a tall Black man. Most of the kids in these environments we dealing with are what? Black kids.
Right.
Now, the people that's running these things are white people or, non-African American. They can't relate. So when you big as an athlete, these psych wards, these residentials, you get your degree in criminal justice, even sociology, psychology, any form, human development, life coaching or whatever, you always will be able to have a job because it'll guarantee you a job, a career, and then it'll be an impactful career. And then sometimes people chase the money and you don't realize that maybe it ain't always about the money. And, if you can use that and milk the system, you could get some money.
A lot of us don't even realize that it's not about the money until sometimes it's too late or sometimes they feel stuck. Like we get comfortable with these salaries and these paychecks. And that's where I feel like athletes, no, we're not just athletes. We struggle with really trying to find our purpose, trying to follow our calling because we get comfortable in those areas. And to you, someone who figure out your purpose and your calling so early, what advice can you give to former student athletes that's still trying to figure it out?
Call it the double P's, purpose and passion. So it's when your purpose and your passion intersects, that's when you're living in your truth.
I like that.
So now I'm actually just living in my truth. So now telling my story, the hardships is what can inspire kids. So when I do talks, you can hear a pin drop. Because the story is so, yes, it comes from with my pops being a basketball player and then me being a basketball player, but then I always veer off to what's really my story.
For sure.
And when you can impact kids and inner city kids, it's like I want to be everything that I didn't have. Like I remember when we had, when you were a little younger than me, you know what I'm saying? But when we was growing up, when the men came and spoke to us, they was like deacons. They had Stacey Adams on, just like, man, what you saying, right, OG? But I can't. But when I was a teacher, I was wearing Jordans.
That's a good point, though, because every time I go talk to kids, I dress like this. Yeah. Because they need to be able to relate to me. They're not going to relate to me in a three-piece suit.
Yeah, definitely. So it's about being relatable. But then the thing is, one thing about us growing up as Black kids, we're taught how to read people. So what happens is when kids try to read me, they realize that it's real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, Mr. Mel, that's what they call me, Mr. Mel. Like, you a real one. You know what I'm saying? Like one day I had a kid, long story, he locked up now, but we was doing SOLs and he was sitting next to me because he was a runner. So I had to put his desk on this side away from the door. And he was looking at my neck and I was like, man, focus. He kept looking at my neck and I got the trap on my neck, but that's my grandma's house. So we've been calling my grandma's house the trap since 1988, way before this trap and trapping. Mm-hmm. So even my mom, you could call my mom right now, like, where you at? She'd be like, I'm at the trap. She's 70 years old, because it's not like that. So then he's looking, he's like, Mr. Mel, I knew you was a real N. You got the trap on your neck. You know what I'm saying? But it's just things like that. Then they're like, what you got the trap on your neck for? You in the streets? Like, nah, you know what I'm saying? But it's just little things like that. Just like, I like this dude.
For sure. You know what I'm saying? Sure. And what would you say, like you said, like your entire journey is adapting and overcoming. Mm-hmm. At what moment, was there or if there was any moment in your life where you struggled to adapt and you struggled to overcome? Because it's all, life is life. Life is life. So, there's a lot of numbers on us from time to time.
I went through a real situation. Like, I probably feel my biggest attribute is my mental toughness. Like, nothing could break me. I have tunnel vision. You know, I've always had ever since about 8th grade and up. You know what I mean? But God tested me a little bit after my pops had died. My pops died, then 3 months later, my grandfather died. Then 4 months later, my grandmother died. Then we went through the whole typical thing of black families and grandma's house and the house not paid off because cousins and uncles, they had to put the house up. So, money, you know what I mean? So then the data person. It says the average black family, when grandma dies, they lose the house within 3 years. We lost the house in 3 years. And at that time, I was doing everything I could, but I had some family members. I had an uncle on drugs and it's a lot of issues. And he had brought me out of character because he was disrespecting my moms and things like that. And the other side of me came out. And then then he hit me with something. It's funny, right? Because he's a drug addict. But sometimes drug addicts could tell you the truth. So it was a great situation. He was like, look at you. You supposed to be a mental health person, helping kids. Look how you acted. And I'm like, the audacity. You ain't here with but you know what? You're right. You're right. Because God knows can nothing get me but this blood. And he's using you right now. And at that time, I ended up getting cysts in my head for my hair. So I went to a dermatologist, a black dermatologist, right? And then he said, they did hair tests and things. They couldn't find nothing was wrong. He was like, what you do for a living? I do mental health. I work with the kids. And he was like, okay. He was like, what's going on in your life? And I just told him, he was like, so because of what you do, you don't stress. You don't see it. But he said, you can't hide stress from the body. So it's coming out through your head. And I had to cut all my hair off and become bald because of that. But that was the last step. It was like, it's good. I know what I'm going to do. My uncle, you know what? Bless you for that. He was the final straw that let me know. So now, like, nothing could get me out of character. Because I got to lead by example. I can't tell people to embrace the journey and then I struggle on my own journey.
That's easier said than done.
Yeah. But somebody got to do it.
So how do you keep your mental health level-headed? Because a lot of people that work in this space, they struggle because we're taking on so much. So, we're having conversations like this every day and it takes a lot of energy to do that.
I hopped into fitness. So even as entrepreneurship, I have my own personal training gym. So throughout this time around, my pops died in 2014. That was around the time where I started going to the gym like twice a day and things like that. And I really transformed my body. You know what I'm saying? So that was my outlet. And then I still play basketball because basketball, again, saved my life. So even now with me doing these businesses, helping kids, family, all these things, I'm always thinking. Even when I was working out, I'm always thinking, I'm listening to podcasts about business strategy, business marketing, how to influence kids, you know what I mean? Just always doing something towards the future, right? And only time my mind's not thinking is when I play basketball. So even to this day at 39, I still hoop. I got a game tomorrow. We still hooping in Norfolk. True League. Okay. Yeah. So
it's dope that you still have that outlet.
Yeah, I need it. Because on the court, all you see is smiles, and I'm having fun. I'm enjoying talking to people in the crowd. You know, I still got some fire in my bones.
Still nice?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
I believe you.
I might be the nicest 39-year-old in the state. Ain't no Mike.
Oh, wow.
Probably am.
I'm going to have to come check you out.
We in shape. Again, it's about health.
Taking care of your body.
Yeah.
That's another point, though. A lot of student athletes don't do that.
Nah, we was eating pizza after the games.
Uh-huh.
Especially at the D2. D1 was a little different. D1 life a little different from D2 though.
I was gonna say I won't touch on mine, but
you know that's the HBCU. But again, not the but the PWI hit up that PWI money a little different.
It is.
Yeah, so
it's a lot different.
Stipends and
and talk about the importance of taking care of your body post sports.
That's very key. So I still hoop, but a lot of my teammates, they stopped hooping. And then, of course, you got a passion. And I had like 4 last year that decided to go hoop. ACL, Achilles, MCL, because they stopped doing anything. You know what I'm saying? But
can't just jump back into that.
I work out so hard because like I don't have kids yet. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in having kids till you married and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So people think I work out, you work out for your body. Like I'm trying to live. I'm trying to crack that 100. I got 2 great-grandparents that lived to 104, 102. All my family members kind of lived to their 80s. So it's like, I got to take care of myself.
Overall, what do you want your impact to be on this world, on the sports world?
In the sports world? Mm-hmm. Honestly, man, the sports world impact, that's minute. Like when I have my funeral, when that day come, I don't want even people to talk about basketball. You know what I'm saying? I want them to talk about the impact that I had on people's lives. So even with this personal training, it's just another form of my brand. So my training comes with also therapy because of my resume, things I do. So I train, right now it's about 13 to 14 people, but at one point in time I had like 20, 23, 3 times a week. I still go to the gym twice a day, still do mental health. You know what I'm saying? Like still take my mom to work. You know what I mean? So I'm just always helping people. So it's like I'm just trying to use that as a avenue to impact people's lives on every stream.
As we need. What do you think your biggest lesson in sports that you learned that you still carry with you today? That
resilience, that whole understanding that no matter what, it's competition. It's always an honest battle, whether you hurt, whether you know what I'm saying, you in the coach's doghouse, you still got to go to practice. You still got to get your effort. So it's the same. It's the transition to life. No matter what goes on, no matter how many bills you behind, no matter if you lost your job or this and that, or even if, in my instance, when you're trying to take that journey to getting off the plantation and having financial freedom for yourself. So when we think about it, people chase that net growth. And it's like, you're going to be stuck in that position forever for somebody else and build other people's generational wealth for their kids. While you spend your time
working for them,
missing out on your kids' things, you know what I'm saying? Not being able to give the kids the full life they deserve. So it's like, before I even bring a child into this world, I need to be fully financial free. So I'm there.
I would say a lot of kids can learn something from that right there.
Yeah.
And finally, Sport Exposure is all about exposing journeys and things that we've gone through to inspire the next generation of student athletes. What do you want to expose about sports? Any level. Could be mental health, could be physical health, could be just about sports in general, basketball. I feel like the issue with today's kids and today's sports is a lot of lack of knowledge and lack of conversations like this. So what do you want to expose?
That sports, especially, again, we're going to keep it Black, you know what I'm saying? Sports for inner city kids is probably the biggest attribute they can have, because 78% of us grow up in single parent homes. So our coaches, you know what I'm saying, on different teams are our role models. They're the only male person that we have that can give us some type of guidance and teach us to understand constructive criticism from an adult. So a lot of times the struggles we have, even whether you're an athlete or just a Black kid, once you go into the real world, we're used to women telling us what to do. 78% of us grow up in single parent homes. You grow up on mama's side, you grow up with grandma. And then you get into the real world, 85% of bosses are what? Men. Then on top of that, majority of the time, it's a non-Black man. So we struggle with the working world because we don't like to take orders, because we're not used to hearing, constructive criticism or direct orders from a male. So we struggle with working, and then we get on that, the system, and then we kind of play victim, but it's some truth in it. So my thing is to teach them, nah, we have to flip the script and do it for ourselves. And then that's why I want to give back and create more Black kids to do the same thing. So I tell my story, and guess what? With my nonprofit that I'm doing, like the goal is to be with kids from 6th grade all the way till they grown. So then when they're in college, they got jobs, they could come home, mentor these kids.
That's love.
And then you just keep it, it's like I said on this one time before, it's like trying to break the code, break the cycle. You know what I'm saying? Not just let the celebrities be the people that we look at. You know what I'm saying?
Ourselves.
Coming home, like we need the people that is more relatable. Because guess what? You probably won't make the NBA. You probably won't be a rapper. You got a better chance of being somebody like me who played sports and used it and then started his own stuff.
For sure.
So that's how I go.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey, sharing your story. I know there's a student athlete out there that was been inspired, because I'm sitting here inspired by your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we find you?
You could look me up on my Instagram, striving_for_greatness_lifestyle.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just striving for greatness while we embrace this journey.
For sure. So y'all know where to find them. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.